What's up, and welcome to More Movies Weekly number 26.
Where are you going to be in 26 years, Charlie?
This is the podcast where we like to talk about film, cinema, movies, all that kind of stuff. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. If you're a returning viewer, thanks very much for coming back. My name's Greg Fisher. This legend sitting next to me is David Roberts, or as I like to call him, David Robert. David, ça va?
Ça va, comment t'appelles-tu?
Je m'appelle Greg Fisher. I've just told you that. Brush up on your French.
Brush up on it very highly.
So we got loads to talk about this week. Let's crack on straight away with the show. So this week we have been watching two films that are one film, or is it one film that are two films? I'm not quite sure which way round to say that, but the film is The Guilty. The first version of which was released in 2018. I believe it's a Danish film. It was directed by someone called Gustav Möller. The second film is an American Hollywood remake of the same film that was released this year. First, we're going to talk about the original film, the Danish film. Dave, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, 2018 film. It's a bottle movie, which we love.
We do.
We're big fans of bottle movies.
We like to hit the bottle.
Thanks. I needed that.
I mean, it's a really simple premise, isn't it? It's set in a emergency call center. We follow the main character who is grumpy, is one way of putting it. He's clearly got problems. He's a very opinionated man. He's also dealing with something that kind of evolves over the film. And he gets a phone call from a very distressed woman who can't speak on the phone properly because she's, in the company of her captor. And then the film evolves from there, and it's all takes place over the phone. It's all to do with the phone calls coming in from different people, and primarily the woman who's been captured, and unraveling the mystery of our plot, really.
So there's two things going on. There's the immediate situation where there's the kidnapped woman on the phone. But at the same time, there's been something going on in his life that there's just these little allusions to here and there. And that's kind of the thread running underneath. The guy who plays Asger, he is played by someone called Jakob Cedergren. In a few moments, there was a few bits on his profile. It reminded me a little bit of Elon Musk. I don't know why. I kept looking at him and was thinking, you look a little bit like Elon Musk. And we also start to find out in little dribs and drabs here and there more about what's happened to him previously and what this whole court case is about. So I thought this was an absolutely fantastic thriller. I was really impressed with the acting from Cedergren. Jakob Cedergren. He was excellent in the role. He was very good as that kind of cool customer guy. There was very little about him, despite the pressure ramping right up to 11.
These go to 11.
There was very little about him that loses his cool. Now and again, he'd throw his headset off in a kind of frustration, but then he'd put it back on and he'd get back to it. He wasn't sweating. There was no, kind of visual tells or tics or anything happening. Now and again, you might get a shot of his hands kind of, being a little bit fidgety. And that was the only sign that, this guy's under any pressure at all. So he portrayed that character very well like that. So as it goes on, you want to know two things. You want to know, how did the woman get in this situation? Who's she been kidnapped by? Where's he taking her? How are they going to capture him? Things like that. But you also want to know about Asger himself. You want to know, what has he done?
Yeah.
Because as it goes along, it gets more and more sort of insidious in a way. And you think, I think this guy might have done something quite bad. I think the cinematography here was brilliant as well. It's very claustrophobic. It's very up close and personal. Some of the shots, extreme close-ups on the ear and the earpiece, because, as you said, the whole time, it's all done over the phone. So all of the other characters in it, apart from the people in the dispatch center with him, the other police, of which there are a handful, apart from that, The only other characters in it are voiced, so you never see them. And that's quite a really powerful sort of tool of the film, I thought.
Yeah, so apparently the genesis of the film from the director was a YouTube clip. There's a kidnapped woman calling a dispatch centre whilst the person sat nearby, and it really struck him.
Yeah, so that was like a real life instance.
Yeah, and there's been a few of them I've heard of ones before, like someone pretending to order a pizza as a way of communicating.
I've heard that one, funnily enough.
Yeah. And so he was struck by that, and he was struck by how the audio clip on its own would generate the visuals in your head. And I thought that was the most striking thing, that the whole thing is really based on, it could be a radio drama. It's about the audio delivering you an image in your head of what's going on, and they never leave that room. What's really striking is particularly in this one, is it's two really drab, close, horrible offices that they're in. There's only the two rooms. They never leave the confines of it, and it's all trapped in there. And as you say, the camera work is so close. It's so claustrophobic, and get closer throughout the film as the tension builds and you're getting really into him.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of the camera work on 12 Angry Men in terms of getting closer and closer and closer into the core of what's happening.
No music either.
No, it's all,
and
just
and
a
that's
soundscape.
one thing I really enjoyed. And it wasn't afraid to just have a silent 30 seconds, that reflects on him, and you don't know his thoughts, but you can see his expression. And there's nothing. There's just this moment of silence, and it gives you time to reflect and sort of, try and figure out what he's thinking and what's been going on and take it all in. And then suddenly that'll be broken by the phone going off again or something, and you're back into the next bit. And I really enjoyed the fact that they were brave enough to do that. They didn't feel like, they trusted us as the audience to accept those moments. So there was a couple of moments there I thought, I really enjoyed the fact that they did that. If anything, it helped the tension and the suspense, so to speak.
And then we come to a remake.
2021 remake, Antoine Fuqua, our good old friend Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead role. So Asger has now become Joe.
Of course.
Who is a Los Angeles police dispatch operator. I found that, especially in the first 20 minutes or so, and pretty much throughout, but they were very, very faithful to the original script.
Yeah. It's almost identical. Almost identical. I do have some problems with the script adaptation in points, because there's certain moments in the film where they signpost something way too early. They let something out, which in the original you don't really get that feeling or inclination about a clue until later. Yeah. But the way they word certain sentences, you're like, you're giving it away kind of thing a bit too early. And that's kind of typical Hollywood. And the whole film is typical Hollywood, because the problem here is everything's bigger. The room is bigger. There's lots of lights and screens and lots of actors going on. The very first shot is a burning hillside and loads of helicopters in the sky. So straight away you're in a Hollywood movie, Yeah. A landscape on fire and helicopters and that kind of apocalyptic vision of Los Angeles. So, yeah, there's nothing like that in the original. No, and typically they use that because in the original film, it's nighttime, so it's hard to see the van they're looking for on the road. And it's really plausible, simple, everyday police scenario. In this, it's, there's forest fires, so there's smoke everywhere we can't see, and it's typical kind of bravading it up for Hollywood, Of course, they do things like when they first pull over a van on the motorway. You actually see it, which they don't in the original, and it's better that you don't see it. It's better, in my opinion, that it just stays on the phone and you just hear whatever they're relaying back to him at dispatch. And what is that? Exactly what you've just mentioned. The original film trusts its audience. This film, at all times, never trusted its audience. And it's a bit overacted and stuff like that. It's Jake Gyllenhaal, so Mr. Twitchy himself. The biggest differences to kind of show the difference in European and American filmmaking come in these films is a great example, is how they really end this film.
Totally agree. Totally.
There's an allowance of silence and tension in the original, and a complete ambiguity as to where it's actually going.
Yeah,
and the remake just goes, "This is what happens."
I know.
And
I know.
Doesn't pause.
Yeah,
it doesn't slow down.
No,
it just goes.
The impact is gone. I know what you mean, because I found there was 3 things that that happened. There's a big reveal.
Yeah.
And in the original, that's what I meant before about those moments of silence and stuff, and you let it sink in, and you're like, oh my God. And then there's a really tense moment right at the end, and you're thinking, will it, won't it sort of situation.
Yeah.
And again, in the remake, it was just, the impact wasn't there, where in the original, it was incredibly well done.
It's the difference
and then there was one more thing that was like, the Hollywood film changed. It changed from the original. You know what I'm saying. I don't want to say what it was, because I want people to enjoy the films and not have them spoiled. But there was something at the end there, if you watch both, you'd see that I thought it just was not necessary. But the fact that they did it in the Hollywood film made me think, my God, you're even sugarcoating that at the end. And I thought,
well, I think there's
come on. There's no need for that.
A way of not spoiling it, but saying it between us, I think, is it's a difference between 20 seconds and 90 seconds in terms of the tension. And I think that is the key of not trusting the audience, not allowing something to breathe.
It was so impactful in the European version, the Danish version, but the Hollywood version seems to do away with all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to think, is it me? Is it because I've watched them back to back and I kind of know now what's happening? If I just watched the Jelly Bean version, would it have that same effect? But I think, the more I analyze it, I think, no, it was just like you said, 20 seconds or 90 seconds, the beats were all out. It was just like bim, 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 bim.
The beats
Hollywood
were definitely
version.
out, because I watched the original and then I watched the remake, and I watched the remake with friends, and they were guessing things before they should have guessed them. So that tells you that the beats are out.
Yeah.
That they got something
They could
wrong.
see it coming.
Yeah. And it's not to say there isn't great things. If the original didn't exist, it'd be a great film.
Yeah, it would be all right. And I think to a certain audience, I think, okay, it's a great script. It's a great idea. You've remade it in a Hollywood setting with Jake Gyllenhaal and all the other cast as well. Bill Burr, Ethan Hawke. There's all these other actors that you never even see in it, but they're the people that gets on the phone, and you just think, that's not necessary either. But you think, well, it's going to bring it to a certain audience that just wouldn't bother watching the subtitle version.
Yeah,
but they're missing out, in my opinion. Those people are missing out because the original is far superior.
I think it's far superior. There's elements of both I like, though, and I kind of torn on. For example, there's a moment in the remake where he closes the blinds and the lights are out, and they use the chiaroscuro effect to light him with the kind of lines of the blinds, the old Venetian effect from film noir. And I thought it was a really powerful moment of showing him trapped, showing him imprisoned, kind of earmarking what is to come for the character at that moment. And I thought that was done really well. But on the other hand, in the original, they got that great moment where he trashes the place and the only light left is the red light, and it shades him in red. And both work really, really well. Yeah. So it's kind of picking which one.
Well, that's a great example of how the film differs in the cinematography in that specific example. But I did notice about the American version, some of the shots were almost aped exactly. Where they use like stuff to look at him through. Yeah. Like there'll be like looking through a bit of the desk or something. I thought, geez, he's borrowed that. He's just stole it exactly from the. So not only is the script identical in some ways, but they were even shooting it very similarly. And I kind of thought, oh, come on. If you're going to remake something, be adventurous. Do it your own way, at least.
It's the old what's it, isn't it? Psycho remake. But I think my biggest complaint was really about it was too wide, especially near the beginning.
Yes,
it was too expansive. It was there's too much going on. It was too busy and unfocused.
But both good films. I think you're right to say that. I think I wouldn't want to pan the Jilly Bean version too much. Antoine Fuqua has done some great films. I love Training Day. I enjoyed the Equalizer movie as well. I thought it was cool. I would personally advise people to see the original.
Yeah, I would really recommend it to people. Yeah.
More so than the remake.
I think, if you're a film lover, you love bottle movies, you like this kind of thing, definitely, it's highly recommended in my opinion.
Have you seen The Guilty, either version? Have you seen the original or the remake? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you thought of the film. And there we go. That's our little summary of The Guilty.
Just send an ambulance.
What, for your knee?
Yeah?
Call an Uber and don't bike drunk, asshole.
So in movie news this week, there has been a trailer released for Paul Thomas Anderson's forthcoming film, Licorice Pizza.
It sounds a delicious meal.
Well, does it? Do you like licorice?
I do like licorice, yeah.
On pizza?
Well, I like licorice and I like pizza, so it might go together.
Have you ever tried them together?
I haven't, but I might try now.
Are you one of these sick motherfuckers that likes pineapple on pizza?
Every now and then, I don't mind a ham and pineapple thin crust. Yeah, I'll go for that.
That debate is still raging, isn't it? Some people are just like,
it will rage forevermore.
It shall. But anyway, Licorice Pizza. This film stars Bradley Cooper, Sean Penn, Maya Rudolph, Skylar Gisondo, whoever that is. John C. Reilly's back in there. He's always in Paul Thomas Anderson films. I noticed Tom Waits in the trailer. And the two youngsters that are taking the lead roles are Alana Haim from the rock group Haim and Cooper Hoffman, who is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman, who, again, was a great collaborator with Paul Thomas Anderson. He's made a lot of films with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and now he's working with his son, which I thought was an interesting element. Dave, let me ask you, have you had a chance to see the trailer?
I have. Very interesting. I love the fact Cooper Hoffman's in it, actually, because I loved Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it was so sad in passing away. So it's nice that it kept some kind of link there, I guess, because he was in a lot of his films. I
haven't seen him in anything, but if he's anywhere near as good as his dad, then that'll be great.
I think this is his first thing, I think.
It looks good from the trailer. I'm not a massive Bradley Cooper fan, but there was certain moments in the trailer with his character that made me laugh and made me, interested to see it. I do love Tom Waits, so I was so glad to see him in there because I love him as a musician, but I also love him as an actor. He's done some great stuff over the years, so it's nice to see him in there. The only complaint I had was it was almost like a condensed version of the whole movie. I felt like it was like 2 odd minutes, nearly 3 minute long trailer, and I was like, I feel like I just sort of watched the movie.
It's a major problem with a lot of trailers, isn't it? That they give way too much away and they're too long and all that. So it's something that happens all the time, I think, unfortunately. But it looks very interesting. Big cast, lots of stars we all love. Paul Thomas Anderson, trusted director, one of your favourites.
Come on, he's like, he's one of the best directors out there, is he not? Especially in terms of American directors, he's way up there.
Yeah, and it looks incredibly wacky. It's a great period piece set in the 70s in San Fernando Valley. It had
that sort of Boogie Nights feel to it.
Yeah, it looked really good fun, and a big production value, and it looks interesting. I'd be very interested to see this when it comes.
Definitely, I'm interested to see it. Definitely.
In other movie news, Netflix have just bought the rights to Roald Dahl's entire catalogue, and they are planning on. They call it creating a universe. They're basically just planning on making those Roald Dahl films, essentially. There's a few things in the pipeline. Taika Waititi has an upcoming Charlie and the Chocolate Factory series planned for Netflix. There's apparently what is quote unquote an original take on the Oompa Loompas. God knows what that is.
Sounds dodgy.
Yeah. For some reason, they're remaking Matilda.
What?
Matilda the musical.
What?
As a film.
Oh, a musical.
A musical, yes. So I'm guessing based on the West End show.
Don't know anything about that. I suppose it'll be different from the,
the original.
The original film. But The original film's still a classic. Kids still watch it as they're growing up.
Still love it,
Those
yeah.
of us that have grown up now still remember watching it as kids. It's a goddamn classic.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I mean, neither of us are really that interested in remakes. We think they're silly. They've recently remade the Witches. I haven't bothered watching it.
I didn't bother watching it either. Is that the Anne Hathaway version?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because Angelica Houston did the original, and that was an excellent film. Really cool.
I love the original. I find it's hilarious. It's creepy.
It is creepy. It's like, ooh, it's exactly what a Roald Dahl book should be. Adaptation. Yeah. I mean, Wes Anderson did Fantastic Mr. Fox, so that one's been done quite recently.
But there's, my favourite Roald Dahl book was The Twits, and of course there's George's Marvelous Medicine, and they've not been done. So I'd be interested if they made them.
James and the Giant Peach was done as an animation years ago. That's still really good. Ever remember Jack and Ori?
Yes, yeah.
I thought you might be a bit young to remember that, but that used to be really popular. And when I was a kid, sort of get towards the late 80s, they started to do some wild things with it where they'd have like you've just had Tom Hardy reading bedtime stories and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's not two things you'd put together. Well, George's Marvelous Medicine, when Jack and Ori did it, Rick Mayall read it.
Oh,
and
brilliant.
It was brilliant. He was amazing. And I always loved that book. Mainly because Rick Mayall read it on Jack and Ori, and he was really great in it.
Love Rick Mayall.
Yeah, God bless him.
And don't forget to give Grandma her medicine at 11 o'clock, his mother said.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Willy Wonka again. I mean, well, you said Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but that implies Willy Wonka. We've just had the Tim Burton film a few years ago with Johnny Depp. Timothée Chalamet is about to star in some kind of a new Willy Wonka film. And now there's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory series coming out. Again, it's just like, why not just not do it? Just do something else. There's probably loads of great books that haven't been adapted yet into,
absolutely
decent sort of mini-series or films. So it's a bit of
it
a
makes
shame.
You think, why don't they do what Disney used to do, where you used to just go around and buy up books that hadn't been done and do them, That's how things like Mary Poppins came about,
Yeah. I don't know. Who cares? I won't be too interested in seeing any of that, to be honest. Never say never. It might come out and go, ooh, there we go. But I doubt it.
Never say never again.
Okay, I just wanted to mention to you as well that apparently George Clooney and Brad Pitt are teaming up again in a new thriller that will be directed by Jon Watts. First time we've seen those two star in anything together since the Ocean's films a few years ago. But they had quite a good chemistry.
Well, they were both in Burn After Reading, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Afterwards. But yes, most well known and most iconic is the Ocean's films.
Yeah, I was thinking of them as both like sort of,
together. Yeah,
yeah, like sort of bromance.
Like Cagney and Lacey. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if they can pull something off, I mean, we have no idea what the project is.
No, God knows.
It's just them. So, but if they could do something cool,
yeah, why not? They are cool.
I like them both.
Pair of cool characters. Both aging gracefully, shall we say. But
too gracefully.
But definitely bankable stars still. And I'd be interested to see what comes of that.
All right, we'll get one more.
That just leaves us enough time to let you know you can listen to us audio only. If you haven't got time to watch us on YouTube, we are on the audio vendors. Check out the link to this podcast from our website, which will be in the description below. And that will give you a list of all the audio vendors, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever it is, all of that jazz. We're on there too. So if you're on the go, you can take more movies with you and have a listen to us on one of those services.
We've also got our reaction out to the new trailer for Don't Look Up, the new film starring Leonardo DiCaprio. So the link for that is down below in the description, right here on our YouTube channel.
We have also just put together another article on our website, moremovies.co.uk, which lists our top 9 baseball movies. Go and check that out. Link in the description below as per.
Absolutely. So go check that out, see which films hit a home run. Also on our website, we have got a review up for Prisoners of the Ghostland. It's a film in 5 video right here on YouTube, and the article on our website. That's the new Nicolas Cage film. So link in the description down below.
Loads of things to see on our website, loads of history articles, reviews, different articles about films, essays, all sorts of stuff. So do check out moremovies.co.uk when you get the chance.
And Greg, would you like a coffee?
Ooh, yes, please.
What are we after it? Espresso, cappuccino, latte?
Let's go Italiano and have a couple of espressos. Or is it espresso? I always get that wrong.
It's an espresso.
The word is espresso.
Of course, we need people to buy us coffee because we're out at the minute. So if you like what we're doing over here, please support us over at buymeacoffee.com, where you can make a donation. Or you can hop over to patreon.com and join one of the packages there, where you can vote on what films we review and check out exclusive content. Again, that's patreon.com. All the links in the descriptions down below.
And don't forget to join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's across the board, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those things, where you can see things like Movie of the Day.
If you haven't seen today's movie of the day, it's not your fault.
I know.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me.
It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right?
It's not your fault.
Oh my God.
I promised I wouldn't cry.
And that wraps us up for another week, Dave. I think we're done there. 26 in the bag, ready to be sent out on YouTube across the internet. Thanks very much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show, and will join us again next week for another More Movies Weekly. Until then, take good care of yourself and keep watching more movies. Well, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to leave us a comment and smash that like button right here on YouTube. In the meantime, if you want to check out more of our reviews and articles, check out our website, moremovies.co.uk. And come and join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that jazz. And if you want to support us because you like our content, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com, or you can just buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com. All the links are in the description below. And to check out more of our filmtastic content, click on one of the buttons on screen now.